Game On is brought to you by Yoakum Ford and Schuylkill Valley Sports.
Welcome to Game On. Hope you're ready to talk some high school football. I'm your host, Jen Wilgus, and I'm here with my friends from the Courier-Times and the Intelligencer, sports editor Jeff Beiteman, writers Dan Duncan and Drew Markle, and video reporter Mark Zamero. 12 weeks into the season, 8 area teams are still alive and kicking in the district playoffs. So we've got plenty to talk about in our 4 Down segment. But for starters, guys, I do not need to ask you what is the most intriguing playoff matchup this weekend. All I need to do is say Pennsbury, North Penn, go.
Has all the makings of a classic matchup. Both teams on an incredible roll. North Penn's won 8 straight, Pennsbury 10, and you know, the last time they played in 11, it was the district semis, and North Penn was on their way. Great team to the state final. They won in a rout. This, to me, is not a typical, powerful North Penn team. Pennsbury matches up better than they ever have against them, both in terms of power and speed. I really like their defensive quickness and their depth at running back. So it's going to be an incredible game, a very physical game.
Yeah, I very much agree with that. I think anybody who studied the brackets when they first came out, they saw this half of the bracket, and they saw Coatesville, they saw North Penn, and they saw Pennsbury. You got 3 district powers on one side. It's great that you get a quarterfinal matchup when you got 2 of those powers meeting up. That's tremendous. I think it's a very interesting matchup with Pennsbury's juniors, who some people say this team might have arrived a year earlier than anybody thought, and then you have a North Penn team who's out there, and you're looking at North Penn and you're going, wow, they've been playing a playoff game since week 4 and battling all the way to get to this point. So I think that's very interesting.
Well, Jen, first of all, it seems more like 12 years, doesn't it? Especially with my friend here to the right, but I digress. This game, you know, with North Penn, the offensive line is very good. Dick Beck is a very good coach. You know, as Jeff said, they've won 8 in a row. But what they've done is they've had to win those games. Pennsbury opens the season with a loss against Easton in a game they led, and since then they've blown everybody out. They haven't had that close game. North Penn has not been able to afford a loss. They haven't had any, and last week they smoked Coatesville, the defending district champion, 31-0. So you know this is going to be, you know, it's a shame it's not the final. You know, this game deserves a final status, but you know we'll take it for a quarterfinal.
And it's a shame one of those teams has to go home this weekend because they've been fun to follow. Well, obviously, they're not the only playoff game happening this weekend. When you look at the rest of the schedule, what jumps out at you?
I want to take 2 games and kind of roll them into one perspective. We've got Neshaminy playing Springford and CB West playing Perk Valley. I find it interesting because you have 2 teams coming from a stalwart conference in the SOL with Neshaminy and West, and 2 teams kind of coming from one of the up-and-coming conferences, the Pac-10. This district has been dominated for years by the Suburban 1 League, by the Chestmont, by the Central League to some extent, and now you have the Pac-10 rolling in. Teams that maybe some programs aren't familiar with around here, but they've had very good seasons. They have very good players. Last week, Springford knocked off Downingtown West in a big way. They have a running back, Jared Jones, rushed for 233 yards and 5 touchdowns. Perk Valley features a quarterback, Rashawn Stewart, who threw 33 passes last week, 3 touchdowns. And Perk Valley, a lot like Chip Kelly and the Philadelphia Eagles, they run a no huddle, hurry up, get down the field. So if nothing else, it'll be interesting to watch.
I'm very intrigued in the Abington-Garnett Valley game. Garnett Valley's number 1 seed, Abington number 8. I saw Garnett Valley against CR North. This is not your father's number 1 seed. Not impressed at all. That's not to discredit CR North. They really played gritty in that game. They were a touchdown down going into the 4th quarter. Garnett Valley, to me, just does not have the overall speed, explosiveness you would expect from a top seed. Abington, on the other hand, playing with house money. They won their first round game resoundingly. They got really good team speed on defense. Craig Reynolds has been running tremendously. Even though they're down to 3 quarterbacks, you know, Tim Sorber really knows what he's doing, especially in these kind of situations. He's had the experience of being a 16 and beating a 1. On the other hand, he was a 1 who lost to a 16. He can explain to his team the dynamics of throwing it all out the window and just going for it. And I see them really going for it in this game.
Well, Drew, I was going to ask you to go up to District 11, where there was a surprise last week when Palisades knocked off the top seed Pine Grove and now earns a rematch with Catasauqua. What are your thoughts on that game?
Then absolutely. First of all, Dan's starting to make sense, which worries me. And
You haven't been paying attention.
yeah, well, okay. You believe what you want to believe. But another thing, before we get into Palisades and Catasauqua, Neshaminy Springford in football Friday. Neshaminy girls soccer and Springford girls soccer in the state final, and Hershey 4 o'clock Saturday. So a little bit, a little interesting. The two schools going at it. But now you go up to District 11. Palisades. None of us expected Palisades to beat Pine Grove last week. We all got that one wrong, and they go ahead and beat them. And now they got to play a Catasauqua team. That is the power in the Colonial League. Is always a statewide power too. They beat Palisades 45-7 in week 3. There's a psychological edge that Catasauqua has over teams in that league. But that being said, Catasauqua loses its regular season finale to Northwestern, a team that Palisades beat. So if you're the Pirates, you think, okay, well, maybe we've got a puncher's chance here. Still, regardless, the fact that Palisades has gotten to where they are is a credit.
Well, no one can say we don't talk about girls soccer on Game On. But moving over to District 12, Archbishop Wood, the newly crowned Philadelphia Catholic League champion Archbishop Wood, now moves on to the District 12 championship game on Saturday against Martin Luther King. What do you guys think about that game?
Well, Martin Luther King's got some weapons and everything, and unlike the coaches there, I will like to look ahead for Wood because I think they're going to be okay. And it's all about going to Hershey. I was there talking to Steve Devlin and the terrific line coach they've got, Mike Carey. And it's all about going to Hershey, and they know that. And they say, while outside the program it might be too much pressure, that's what they aspire to. So to get back to Hershey, a big key to me is going to be this offensive line that only returned one senior. But typical of Wood, every aspect of their game, they're starting to hit their stride. Right now, the offensive line's really come together very well, led by Ryan Bates, a big-time Division I recruit, and Deion Oliver, doing a really good job. The group is really gelling, and I think that really boding well for Wood down the road here.
Yeah, to kind of continue what Dan's saying there, if they're going to hit a bump in the road on their way to Hershey, it's probably not coming this weekend. It's unfortunately, it's your typical public league versus the Catholic league, and we know how that typically turns out, which is the public league loses, and often loses pretty big. King is certainly one of the better pub programs, but they've got 2 losses this season. They didn't step outside of the city and play anybody, so Wood is going to be a huge mountain for them to climb, and I can't see it.
Well, Jen, you can make a good argument that schools like Wood and LaSalle should be in District 1, not in District 12, because they're not in the city, but that's a story for another day. But the way we have it, I mean, again, this is barely a bump in the road. The Woods gotten Jake Cooper, their outstanding junior defender, more involved in the offense now, tight end. They're just revving up everything, and this week will be just part of the demolition.
Well, another team with high expectations is Bristol. And the wait is over for the Warriors. They go right from the regular season straight into the District 1 Class A championship game on Saturday against Delco Christian. Is that game going to be closer than people think?
Okay. Early on in the infancy of Game On, going back to week 1, week 2, I remember saying something about the effect that Bristol season is all about getting to the state playoffs. They're going to get to the state playoffs. They play Delco Christian in the district championship game. Obviously, you have to win that game. They've already played it once. They beat them 40-24. I think Bristol is very difficult to defend. They are big, strong, and physical. They not only can run the ball well, they throw the ball well. And I think that diversified attack is what gives small schools in District 1 problems when they play Bristol. And I'm not sure anybody can handle it.
I think the bye really helped Bristol, to kind of gather themselves. They'd not ever been to the States until last year. Now they're trying to do it again. Chance to catch your breath. They got a lot of kids that played two-way. I kind of worry about their defense sometimes. Against a team like Delco, they can score and they can pound the ball. There might be some points scored in this game, but I think Bristol's going to be fine. Again, the versatility in their offense. They have so many ways they can hurt you. Trevor Leone, quarterback, and a great running back, Dante Simmons. So I think they're built to win a high-scoring game. So if it's that, they're going to be fine.
Well, Jen, this is a good game for Bristol. They cannot look past Delco Christian. I know they beat them. Delco Christian also took New Hope to the wire, a New Hope team that gave Bristol a loss. So teams like Bristol with higher aspirations, you need games like this along the line, that, tight games, because you're going to have tighter games as we get further. So I think they'll win, but it's going to be a good test for them.
Well, it should be a really exciting weekend. Well, this week's Coach's Corner segment comes with a bonus, because when we went to CB West to talk to head coach Brian Hensel, we also got a chance to chat with some of his star players who have helped to bring playoff football back to War Memorial Field for the first time since 2004.
We fall back 20-7, and I think the greatest memory that I'll take from that game is that not one of our guys panicked. As a matter of fact, they all rallied around each other and said, this is where we begin the comeback. And they believed in each other, and then immediately went out and carried out that plan.
I think we showed that we were definitely a playoff contender, and we have a serious chance to move on. Definitely, we all expected to be here. Maybe other people didn't, but we definitely did, and we were working all off season to try to get to this point and move on.
I don't think it's a greater place to be than in Doylestown when there's playoff football going on, because everybody knows the tradition that Mike Pettin and his coaches have built here over the years, and to be a playoff team again for the second time in 4 years and start to establish the fact that we are a team that should be contended with, that's a nice opportunity. And it also opens up some doors for the kids to recognize that hard work does pay off.
To me, it feels great, but I know to the boys on the team that lived up here all their life, it means a lot more. But it means a lot to me too, because I'm playing with a good football team. We got good coaches and good players.
They're one of the best 15 seed teams I've ever watched film on. I'll tell you that. They're very talented in so many spots. Rashawn Stewart is an incredible athlete on the offensive side of the ball, an incredible athlete on the defensive side of the ball, and he's got weapons around him that are going to make him even better. So we've got to control for quite a bit of talent. When you're in a pool of 16 teams left in the whole southeastern Pennsylvania area, you get a pretty good level of talent. So whether you're 1 or 15 or 16, I don't think it really matters at this point. It's the two teams that show up, and the team that's ready to play is going to be the team that's going to come out on top.
They got some good ball players, but I think we got way more good ball players than, I don't know, we just got to put together our offense, defense, our special teams. If we win them three, then we're going to probably most likely win the game.
All successful programs have strong leadership, and there's one player at Archbishop Wood who's made his presence felt both on the field and in the locker room since he arrived at the school 3 years ago. Let's go inside the game.
When college recruiters ask Archbishop Wood coach Steve Devlin for a scouting report on star linebacker Jake Cooper, Devlin says he tells them, quote, "When Jake walks in a room, the room changes." It's that special leadership quality that moved Devlin to make Cooper his very first junior captain heading into this season.
Well, I didn't know it was coming, to be honest with you. When I was sitting at the banquet and they announced my name as a captain, I was kind of in awe. But, I definitely went home that night and set out a plan for myself, and I needed to be at a certain level for my team. I'm definitely loud when I need to be. But at the same time, I want to do my best to lead by example by going 150% each and every play, so that they know that this is the level that we need to be at. So I need to follow in his lead, and so just get as much effort out of everybody as possible.
He's a 3-year starter, and he's only a junior, and it seems like he's been here forever, and he's such a great kid. He's the first time I've ever had a junior as a captain of the football team, but he deserves it. He's a leader, and he's a kid that you want to go to battle with every week, and he's a kid that you can't help but love the coach.
Cooper, who also wrestles at Wood, helped lead the Vikings to the state championship in 2011. Now, as a team leader, he wants his teammates to know how that feels.
All the time I tell them it's an amazing experience. It's something that I stand here right now and get butterflies just thinking of, and I want them to experience that. They're my brothers, and I definitely want that for them. I want the best for them. So just kind of giving them a mental picture of what it's like motivates them as well as it motivates me, because I want to get back there. But it's just an awesome experience, and definitely serves as a mental check as far as we need to go all out every day just to get back to that place.
Well, this season on Game On, we've featured mascots, groundskeepers, concession stand workers, and the marching band. Well, now it's the cheerleaders' turn. Here's a story about a local squad that plans to take its talents out of state.
Although Lansdale Catholic's football season ended on November 1st, the Crusader cheerleaders are just gearing up for the exciting part of their year. The squad, which won its division in the Philadelphia Catholic League and placed 9th in the state last year, recently learned it was invited to perform at the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans on January 2nd.
We were really excited because we're not like the biggest name school, and like we're not really known for our cheerleading program as much, but like in the past few years we've just really brought it up and we're really excited about it.
To prepare for their December 30th departure, the LC cheerleaders are trying to raise around $1,000 per girl to fund the trip. And soon, they'll begin learning a new routine for the game developed for them by a So You Think You Can Dance choreographer. All this, and they're focused on defending their league title.
They're working really hard to get their routines ready, and we want to have a really great season like we did last year, and we're coming in really strong, so we're hoping that we can live up to our expectations. I think the girls gained a lot of confidence last year from making it that far, and they realized that if they really work and put their mind to something, that it is something that they can achieve, and their confidence is really high, and that's kind of been what's fueling our entire season.
Although they've got a lot to do before the new year, the LC cheerleaders are looking forward to putting their squad and their school on the map.
I think it's gonna be so crazy. Like I can't even imagine. There's gonna be so many people watching. It's like definitely not gonna be like this. Just to be a part of something so big, and like this doesn't really happen like ever. So to be a part of it this year is amazing.
If you'd like to help the LC cheerleaders make it to the Sugar Bowl, go to the website on your screen. And here's an update on local players making a difference in college, courtesy of the Intel's Angie Mountain. Ursinus senior receiver Jerry Rahill, an Archbishop Wood graduate from Chalfont, racked up 202 yards and 2 touchdowns on 8 catches in a loss to Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. He now has 8 touchdowns and 978 yards in 9 games. Rahill also has returned 17 punts for 143 yards this season. Another local Ursinus player, sophomore defensive back Kyle Adkins, forced a fumble on a sack against Johns Hopkins, stopping the opponents inside the red zone. Adkins is a Wood graduate from Holland. For the season, he has 2 interceptions, 1 that he returned for a touchdown. He has made 41 tackles, 27 of them solo, and recovered a fumble. Abington coach Tim Sorber has told me he likes it when the so-called experts pick against his team. Well, he must love Jeff and Dan because for some reason they went with Upper Dublin last week and that game was not close. Drew was our only expert who had faith in the Ghosts and thus had the best record last week. So Drew, let's see if you can keep up that momentum. Our first game this week is Palisades at Catasauqua.
Jenna, you know, my heart says Palisades, but Caddy's is just a little bit too tough in this one.
Leaning on my friend Drew's deep knowledge of District 11, I'm happy to go with the school that I can't pronounce, Catasauqua.
All right, I guess we'll give Palisades a lot of motivation this week because it's going to be 3-0 Catasauqua.
Springford at Neshaminy.
Neshaminy. I like Neshaminy getting to the district title game.
Yeah, I've got Neshaminy and Pennsbury for the ultimate showdown in the district final. I can't leave the Redskins now. I think it's going to be a very explosive game on both sides. Their defense is going to have to play really well in the second half, I think.
Jen, I'm also going to go with Neshaminy, but let's not forget this Springford team went to the district final this is not last year. This is not an easy one.
Perkiomen Valley at CB West.
Well, CB West a week ago, if you'd have told them, you know, they'll be playing 2 home games, they never would have believed it. Now they get to play at home again. Marvin Todd's coming off of 6 touchdowns in the win over Plymouth White Marsh. I'm going to take the Bucks.
I'm going to take Perk Valley coming off that upset of number 2 Ruston. I think it's going to be a very high-scoring game if they can pull it off.
I agree with Dan on that. I think it will be a very, very high-scoring game. I like Marvin Todd with the winning touchdown late to win it for West.
Delco Christian versus Bristol at Plymouth White Marsh.
Well, if I've been saying all along that I think Bristol's going to get to the state playoffs, then I've got to take Bristol here in the district championship game.
Liked Bristol last year, like them even more this year. They're not to be denied. They're going to win this game.
It pains me, but I'll go along with these guys for Bristol.
All right, the last one, the toughest one to pick, North Penn at Pennsbury.
Well, again, this you know, the winner here, who knows how far they can go. I'm going to say that winner's going to be North Penn.
Big statement game for both schools. I like Pennsbury to win this, again, with the speed of their defense and the 3-prong running game, plus Breon Clark. Close game, Pennsbury wins it.
Anybody got a quarter? Flip it up in the air, land. I'm going to say North Penn, I think, based on Dick Beck in a big game. He's been there a lot. He's won a lot of big games in his career. This is one of the biggest. I'll take Dick and the North Penn Knights.
All right, well, let's see what Blake had to say.
Ever since Blake lost to a three-legged cat last week, he seems to be acting more and more like a feline. But with 8 disastrous losses behind him already, Blake at least knows cats have 9 lives. And we're still relying on Blake's canine instincts to sniff out this week's winner between North Penn and Pennsbury. We arranged some folding chairs and placed a treat inside each puzzle of legs. Blake chose North Penn, and he seems to be back to his doggy ways. Maybe this week he'll even fetch a winner.
Well, that'll do it for our show this week. Remember to check out the Courier-Times and the Intelligencer, both online and in print this weekend, for full local football coverage. And you can always get in touch with us on Facebook and Twitter at HS Game On. I'm Jen Wilgus. For the entire Game On team, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. To our coaches and players, good luck this weekend in the playoff games. To our fans, have a great time. Game on.